I've just arrived via my connecting flight at Tokyo's Narita International Airport. Today I'll be flying to Chicago in all Nippon Airlines first class. Despite the surprising lack of a ground service staff escort, I've managed to find my own way to the ANA Suite Lounge. Hello YouTube travelers, and welcome to the Gentleman of Fortune channel. Join me on my travels around the world, and together we'll review the latest in flight and lounge offerings, find out how various airlines' first and business class products stack up, sample their catering, and indulge in their finest champagnes. Together, we'll experience the best of the best, and maybe some more obscure ones too. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss a thing. And now I invite you to sit back and relax as we get this next adventure underway. After a cursory review of my boarding pass, I was admitted into a lounge space that seems to be used by both business and first-class passengers. Once inside, a lounge attendant pulled back the rope and bid me enter into a small section of partitioned off chairs that served as the first-class area. Once at my seat, I was presented with a beverage menu. Regrettably, however, in Tokyo it's currently prohibited to serve alcohol, which severely limited the options. I settled for some water and a cappuccino. The food options in the lounge seem to be the same for both business and first class, but first class enjoys waiter service. The lounge itself was very full, with seemingly insufficient space for all of the business class passengers. On a side note related to occupancy, I had been hoping to take a shower there in the lounge, but was unable to, as they were all booked out. ANA has zone-based boarding, and they've altered the order so that first class boards with Group 4. While there may be some merit to boarding economy and business class from back to front, it doesn't make much sense for the two passengers in first when we have a dedicated jet bridge. At long last, I was allowed to board and made it to my seat 2K. Now this turned out to be their older suite. Of note, there's no sliding doors for privacy. The TV is a little bit smaller, although still pretty good size, and the wood paneling is a yellowish pine color as opposed to the more ashy color on the new suites. Here you can see the slippers that the flight attendant very graciously unwrapped and set out for me. Now here's an overview of ANA's first class cabin with the 8 seats laid out in a 1-2-1 configuration. Back at my seat, waiting amenities include the bag and shoehorn from the slipper set, as well as an interesting looking amenity kit and noise cancelling headphones. Then down below, there's sleepwear as well as a cardigan. They very quickly made up for lost time wasted during the boarding process by bringing around a choice of welcome drinks, champagne or orange juice. While I enjoyed my champagne, I watched this ANA 777 painted in the Star Wars BB-8 droid special livery being towed to the gate next to us. Now back to the seat. We've got a vanity mirror inside this compartment. And next to it, in this small compartment, is another mirror, but also the remote control for the IFE. Personal reading light number 1. Personal reading light number 2. Inside this compartment, we've got the headphone jack, as well as a storage area for your headphones when not in use. And down here we have some somewhat difficult to access lighting controls. And over here above the electrical outlet, there's an even more challenging door, which behind it has a USB port and a 9-pin audio input. This touchscreen panel over here controls the seat recline. And down below here we have the literature pocket. Up at the front, we have the tray table which pivots out from underneath the TV. Then, down below, we have the footrest, which conceals a very thin drawer inside of it, which pulls out. The seat itself is large and very comfortable, and of course turns into a fully flat bed. Also, waiting for me at the seat was this plush pillow and this incredibly soft blanket. On the aisle side of the seat, there's one more small compartment here that opens up to reveal a little holder where you could store your phone. Just be sure not to forget it in there. In addition to the large tray table, there's also a cocktail tray which pivots out. Shortly after getting settled in, the flight attendant came around with a basket of amenities from which I could choose. The most unusual of which is leg refreshing sheet. This is a cooling gel pad which you can place on your legs and features a smell of eucalyptus or menthol. I was also presented with this scratch-off card which had the access code for the free Wi-Fi. This cleansing wipe was given to me so I could wipe down surfaces with a plastic bag that I could discard it in. Being one of the last aboard, it didn't take long for them to close the cabin doors, and quickly we were underway, taxiing out for departure. On the way out, we had an interesting view of a wide assortment of Star Alliance carriers. Here's a second ANA aircraft painted with a special Star Wars livery. This 787 is painted as R2-D2. Uh-oh, when I see these guys I can't help but think, I just hope they have a better flight than I did the last time I flew them. At the end of the runway, we had to wait for one arriving plane, and then we were cleared for takeoff. What a peach. I wonder if any of these plane spotters got any good shots of us before we took off. Here we go. Closely here, you can see the Tokyo 2020 topiary they added for the Olympics. Now that we're airborne, I'll keep working through some of the amenities that I didn't have time to detail while we're still on the ground. This is the cardigan that they offered. Interestingly, there was a note that said free rental, so you don't get to take this one home. And here's a look at the loungewear. This one specifically said that you can take it home with you. I'll be honest though, it was pretty scratchy and wasn't that comfortable, especially during times of the flight when it was a little bit warmer. Be forewarned also that if you have a Western build, this sleepwear set fits a little bit on the snug side. Alright, I'm pretty excited about this amenity kit. It's designed to look like this cool little piece of luggage or a suitcase. It has Globetrotter branding on the bottom. Inside of it, we've got this box labeled the Ginza. Additionally, inside we have a dental kit, a pair of earplugs, and an eye mask. There's not a ton of amenities in this kit, but if you'll recall, there were lots of things available from the basket at the beginning. Now, here's a look at this gift box set from the Ginza. Inside, there's a trio of cosmetics, which you can read about here next. The last remaining item in the amenity kit is this promotional material from the brand Globetrotter. Here's a last look at the kit so we can see some of the detailing on the inside. Now, moving on to the menu, it was presented in this leather folio. Inside we have both a beverage list and a food menu. Both lists offer an expansive array of choices, but the beverage menu is especially impressive with several types of sake, shochu, and plum wine. Rather impressively, ANA sometimes serves Suntory Hibiki 21, a 21-year-old whiskey. Unfortunately, it's only available on select routes, and this isn't one of them. Today, they only have the 17-year-old version, and I'm not sure if I can be bothered at that rate. While I pondered my menu choices, I started with a delectable glass of Krug. Now recently, a popular YouTube vlogger lamented that he only got a small bottle of Krug, but you'll be happy to note that here on the Gentleman of Fortune channel, we rate the full-size bottle. And this was promptly accompanied by ANA's signature breadsticks and a trio of amuse-bouche. From left to right, we have scallop and dried sea lettuce with yuzu pepper, gizzard confit and pickled quail egg, and an Okinawa-style tofu farci and puff. This is pretty impressive, so let's see what wonders await us on the dining menu. ANA offers both a selection of Japanese cuisine and international cuisine. Like the Hibiki 21, some menu items are available on select routes only. There were separate menu sections for flights originating in Japan and those flights originating in the United States. If you'd like to see what the food looks like on flights out of the US, I'll add those menu sections to the end as a bonus feature. These menus are applicable to the following flights from June through August, and of course are subject to change. Once I had made my menu selection, I noticed that the moon was just coming up over the horizon, and it was incredible. Try as I might though, I could not get a good picture or video. It never did it justice because the camera just couldn't focus on it. You'll have to take my word that it really did look like the man in the moon. At this point, I got out the headphones because I was thinking about watching a movie. I know it may seem like it's a little bit out of sequence, but I assessed that I probably had some time before they delivered the appetizer. The flight attendant brought out a tablecloth which significantly cut down on the glare from the tray table. Hopefully we can focus on the headphones now, instead of a reflection of the ceiling. ANA offers Sony noise-canceling headphones for the first-class passengers. They did a great job of dampening out the cabin noise, and they were very comfortable. Okay, enough messing around with this. Let's eat. For my appetizer, I selected the Scottish salmon, which was topped with a generous amount of caviar. I've got to tell you, this was fantastic. The salmon was so fresh and melted in your mouth, and the caviar was delicious. The flight attendant also brought out a basket of fresh breads to select from. Next up, I had a lovely fresh salad with tomato dressing. The salad course was followed up with a corn soup. For my entree, I selected the grilled fillet of Wagyu beef with rosemary and tamari soy sauce, and this was a masterpiece. I apologize for the shaky video. I assure you I'm not having a seizure, but we've just hit a spot of rough air. I was pleased that the steak wasn't overcooked and dried out, as you'll sometimes find on flights. To accompany the beef, I selected this label, which looked interesting. While I didn't deem it necessary, the flight attendant offered a specialty mustard and horseradish to accompany the steak. After the entree, they brought out a nice selection of cheeses. I enjoyed this very nice Spanish dessert wine with my cheeses. And for dessert, I had the peach granite with coconut sauce. After dinner, I visited the lavatory, which was frankly a bit dated stylistically speaking. On offer, they did have linen towels, some additional amenities, as well as these lotions from the Ginza. It wasn't terribly spacious, but there was plenty of room to move around. Much like Japan Airlines, they offer this small shelf that folds down so that you don't have to stand on the floor when you're changing. As the first class cabin was mostly empty, the flight attendant prepared my bed in the adjacent seat, which was unused. On top of the flatbed seat, they put down an air mattress pad, and on top of that, there's a very soft duvet, that beautiful blanket, and 2 pillows. Very thoughtfully, they also set out this card which had an A&A original fragrance on it. I slept well for several hours, but on one occasion, after I woke up and returned, they had remade the bed for me, and they also set out these gifts of origami cranes. Very thoughtful. After my nap, I was feeling hungry again, and thought this time I'd try one of the Japanese dishes. So in consideration of that, I ordered some of this Shikashen sparkling sake. The otsukuri sashimi arrived and it was phenomenal, with the standout being the bluefin toro. It was so buttery and delicious. Sadly, though I wanted to love the sparkling sake, I didn't. The bubbles made the taste very sharp, and I didn't really enjoy it. I did enjoy all of the accompanying dishes that they brought out, however, such as the grated daikon, and this beautiful bowl of seared octopus with an interesting sake jelly. You've got to hand it to them for the beautiful presentation. I think the flight attendant was worried that I was still hungry because she started bringing out unsolicited dishes like this selection of fish cakes. By the time I finished this snack, we were north of Seattle and had some beautiful views of Tacoma Fuji, as the flight attendant called Mount Rainier. Unfortunately, once again, the camera wouldn't focus. I didn't anticipate eating again, but before long they were pressuring me for my breakfast order. At first, the flight attendant got my hopes up when she insisted that they did in fact have the Eggs Benedict on this flight, despite what the menu said. But ultimately, the menu prevailed, and I was forced to accept the Pacheri Genovese, which was still excellent. At this point, I was suitably stuffed and didn't think I could eat another bite, so when the flight attendant arrived with the fruit plate, I almost sent it away. Thankfully, I noticed before I caused great embarrassment to myself that the flight attendant had gone to great lengths to personalize the fruit plate. How fantastic is this? I think it perfectly illustrates what an amazing flight crew I had today and their attention to detail. As they cleared away all the service items, they brought around these playing cards and this inflatable A&A airplane toy. I had no need for the items, but they insisted, so I'll add that to the group of things I'm hoping to give away on the channel. During the descent, we fought our way through some thunderstorms, but we ended up making a safe and smooth touchdown at Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. As we rolled out, the wind was really starting to pick up, and it even looked like there was a tornado starting to spawn on the airfield. Before we made it to our parking bay, there was a ramp freeze for lightning on the airfield. It wasn't long before there was a torrential downpour. This big fellow decided he'd give Takeoff a go, kicking up huge plumes of water as he did. As for us, we had to sit on the taxiway for over an hour, which must have been incredibly stressful and frustrating for passengers that had a connecting flight. The flight attendants again were great though, and quickly sprung into action delivering snacks and beverages. Eventually, we made it to the gate and wrapped up a truly excellent flight. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed this flight. If you did, please consider subscribing and hit that like button, and don't forget the bell. That way you won't miss future video releases. As always, until the next video, safe travels. And if you stuck around this long, here's your bonus: menus for flights that originate in the United States.